Guilty Gear Strive is an upcoming game in the Guilty Gear series that was announced at EVO 2019. It will be the 7th mainline installment and overall its 24th release. The game is expected to release for PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and Steam on June 11, 2021, whereas the arcade version will be distributed via Sega Interactive's All.Net PRAS multi-version. The first game was published in 1998, and has spawned several sequels. Guilty Gear consists primarily of one-on-one competitive battles. Players are tasked with depleting their opponent's life gauge by utilizing attacks unique to each playable character. In the case of timed matches, the player with the most remaining life when time runs out is the victor of that round. The series' emphasis on speed and technicality and introduction of unique movement options such as an air dash would ultimately become the foundation for the anime subgenre of fighting games. Guilty Gear Ishiwatari prominently allowed up to 4 simultaneous players in battle, as well as the option to divide the characters into teams. It also eschewed the typical multiple round format in favor of each player having a limited stock of souls. Depleting a player's life gauge decreased their stock of souls and temporarily incapacitated them, and each remaining soul allowed a player to return to battle with a full life gauge. They would be defeated for the rest of the match if their life gauge and souls were both exhausted. These features have not returned for subsequent games. Each game in the series includes a tension gauge that fills as the player performs offensive maneuvers, such as approaching the opponent or attacking them. Portions of the tension gauge can be expended to perform various techniques. Each character has at least one overdrive, special attacks that can deal extensive damage to an opponent or bolster aspects of the user, like speed or attack power. Faultless defense allows players to prevent chip damage received from normally guarding against attacks, at the expense of the tension gauge. Guilty Gear X and later titles introduced more advanced techniques involving the tension gauge, such as the Roman cancel, allowing players to immediately stop the remaining animation of an attack, and dead angle attacks, counter-attacks performed while a player is guarding. The tension gauge is also tied in with the usage of instant kill techniques, high-risk attacks that are difficult to connect with but instantly inflict death on the opponent regardless of the amount of life remaining. In Guilty Gear, these attacks ended the entire match if they successfully hit the opponent, but this was toned down in later games by ending the round instead. Failing to connect with the technique penalizes the user by removing the tension gauge and its related uses for the rest of the round. Guilty Gear X2 introduced a burst gauge that slowly fills during the progression of a match. When completely filled, players can perform a psyche burst in an attempt to quickly stop an opponent's offense, even knocking back the opponent if they are close enough. This mechanic has also appeared in some form in other Arc System Works games, such as BlazBlue and Persona 4 Arena, as well as other fighting games such as Skullgirls. Many characters also feature their own unique mechanics that differentiate them from each other. For example, Zato 1 utilizes a shadow-like symbiotic creature named Eddie that is able to detach itself and be controlled separately for a period of time, allowing complex tandem attacks between the two. Venom can set out weaponized billiard balls on screen that can be projected in various directions depending on how the player strikes them with certain attacks. Johnny carries a limited set of coins that can be thrown at the opponent. Though the coins themselves deal little damage, each successive hit strengthens his Mist Finer technique to incredibly powerful levels.